with more face and heel turns than Taylor Swift can say she has boyfriends that she wrote songs about. And with a couple months of absence from yours truly, welcome back. It's now time to say, welcome to John's Wrestling Views. I'm your host, John. Thanks for tuning in. Happy holidays, everybody. 4th of July is today. It's after midnight. I'd still say it's the 3rd, but the calendar says differently. Money in the Bank, 10 days away, and it's, I don't know, I always like the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. It's a very interesting concept to me, because, you still have your world title matches, but then, like your world title match, WWE title match, but then there's the opportunity, so to speak, of possibly even another major championship match, as there are not one but two Money in the Bank ladder matches that night. And this year's, honestly, could be the most interesting concept-wise for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. It all starts off with Mark Henry, a few weeks ago on Raw, has the average wrestling fan fooled that he was going to go into retirement, all in a hoax to set John Cena up for the World's Strongest Slam. On July 14th, 2013, John Cena defends the WWE Championship against Mark Henry. Should be an interesting match. I don't know how great it is, because I'm not necessarily sold on Mark Henry having great matches per se. And John Cena, he's as good as his opponent is, so to speak. So, I don't know. Should be interesting. It's whatever. John Cena's going to win. Sorry, Mark Henry. I know retirement probably is in the, I wouldn't say the near future, but you've definitely been in the business longer than you have left. Let's just put it that way. And I mean, Mark Henry knows this too. Nor is he going to see this video. The one interesting thing, technically, many would argue Dolph Ziggler is still technically a heel right now. And I say this is interesting because he is the number one contender for the world title. He's facing Alberto Del Rio at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view for the world title. What's interesting most to me about this, first of all, as records have seen the last few weeks on Raw and SmackDown, Ziggler, has definitely had Del Rio's number. With that said, Ricardo Rodriguez is actually on suspension. He violated the company's wellness policy. So Del Rio's going to go into this match alone against Ziggler. But Ziggler, like I said, has been in the driver's seat in this rivalry. I would be surprised if Ziggler comes out of Money in the Bank World Champion. I'm expecting, Del Rio. The interesting thing about that, yes, I would say it's safe to assume, especially with what the fans want, that Ziggler's turning face. He's in the process, and I was actually talking to my buddy Trent Guerin the other day, and he's been reading online about results of house shows. Ziggler's full-blown face, in the house shows. And the interesting thing, the one thing I say that really keeps him heel right now is the idea that he's still with AJ Lee and Big E Langston's there, who are definitely still heels. But apparently, Ziggler actually posted on his Twitter how AJ needs to stop this crap that's going on with Caitlyn right now, that's not really the attitude worthy of a champion. Interesting. I don't really expect them to be together too much longer. With all that said, what interests me most is Money in the Bank is a interesting concept this year. Like I said, there's been a lot of face and heel turns. Del Rio, is a full-blown heel now, which, honestly, he's a way better heel than he is a face anyway. It's a lot easier for the fans to hate him than it is for them to like him, so I'm expecting that for a while. CM Punk, I'd say, has turned face. It's interesting with him because he's still technically with Paul Heyman. More on that in a little bit, though. So Ziggler's still technically heel. Del Rio is definitely a heel. So technically, you have a heel versus heel world title match at the pay-per-view. You don't see that all the time. It gets better, though. The WWE Championship Money in the Bank ladder match is competed by 7 people this year. They call it the Money in the Bank All-Stars. In there you see Randy Orton, Sheamus, Christian, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Kane, and the return of my all-time favorite wrestler, Rob Van Dam. I'm pumped. But, like I said, CM Punk's the interesting case. But technically, you have a face full, he's an interesting person in this case, from what I'm about to say. But technically, you have a match full of faces in there. You know, Orton and Daniel Bryan and Kane, that three-way group, have their own share of problems. But yeah, technically you have faces. So does it make sense? How about for the world title Money in the Bank match, ladder match, we see Wade Barrett, Cody Rhodes, Damian Sandow, Dean Ambrose, Jack Swagger, Antonio Cesaro, and Fandango. And, you know, I don't care about pronunciation because I don't feel eccentric right now. But 7 people, all heels. For a typical wrestling fan, you just don't see that. You don't, it's rare enough to see a one-on-one heel versus heel match, but a match where there's 7 people and they're all heels, that's just unheard of. Like I said, I love the concept. I love the idea. The theme of that one is kind of the future of the WWE, as there's 7 more or less up-and-coming superstars. As far as who wins, I think for those of you who check online to see where WWE Creative has plans, let's look at it this way. Orton is in a lot of heat with the company. He has been for a while. Sheamus seems to be busy with Damian Sandow and that more than anyone else. Christian just came back. Van Dam's just coming back. I can go on about reasons why I think wrestlers won't win, but all signs are pointing at Daniel Bryan to capture the briefcase this time. I will say, maybe a lot of people are expecting CM Punk to win. I'd be surprised. Where that's going. The idea right now is CM Punk faces Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. As we saw the night after the Payback pay-per-view, Lesnar came out and attacked CM Punk and gave him the F5. So it's a Paul Heyman twist, and I'm actually loving the storyline for the most part. I'm not going to talk about that. But CM Punk is a Paul Heyman guy, not a Paul Heyman client. CM Punk's argument, Curtis Axel and Brock Lesnar are. And apparently, according to Heyman, Lesnar doesn't like the idea that he's a client, that he needs help. Whatever, they have a rivalry. Should be a great match at SummerSlam. Let's get through Money in the Bank first. That's why I don't think CM Punk's going to win. Because he's got his own agenda. Daniel Bryan, their original plan was that Daniel Bryan was going to face John Cena at Money in the Bank. That didn't work out so well. Daniel Bryan got hurt in a match against Randy Orton the night after Payback. The idea was that I was going to set him up, and then this whole Mark Henry swerve fooled everyone. With that said, WWE likes to kind of give you the unexpected. You know, the average wrestling fan's expecting something, WWE wants to change it up. My example, Mark Henry. So, who knows? But right now, all signs are pointing at Daniel Bryan. What it shows is that he's going to actually cash in on John Cena straight up. Kind of like what Van Dam did after WrestleMania 22. Set a date, say SummerSlam. You and I, WWE Championship match. The interesting thing about this is behind the scenes, the Bella twins are actually dating both John Cena and Daniel Bryan. I believe it's Nikki Bella's dating John Cena. Brie Bella's dating Daniel Bryan. So they're actually looking for a way to bring them into the show too. As far as the world title Money in the Bank ladder match, I don't know who I'm sold on. Jack Swagger, I was sold on. There's that Extreme Rules is supposed to be Swagger and Del Rio and Ziggler in a ladder match. And I, for one, was really looking forward to that. Well, Ziggler gets this concussion. They changed it all together. They made Swagger and Del Rio in a I Quit match. It was fine, whatever, but it wasn't the ladder match, and they're thinking maybe SummerSlam will still do this three-way ladder match. Jack Swagger's in a lot of trouble right now, guys, with the law. He was just proven guilty for his DUI he got shortly before WrestleMania. If there's one person in the WWE right now who needs to be released, if they had to choose one, I would personally say they're better off getting rid of Swagger. So with that said, who would win Money in the Bank then? Maybe Dean Ambrose? The Shield's a big team as it is. I don't know, guys. Wade Barrett, he's a good possibility. I think I see it being one of those two more than anyone else. Or maybe they're going to change it up, with Cesaro being one of Zeb Coulter's guys. Maybe it'll be Cesaro, It should be interesting. I think it's going to be actually a really good match. As no one knows really who to root for. I mean, there's 7 heels. They're supposed to be people that we hate. And I don't necessarily hate all of them. I'm actually a huge fan of the Shield. And I like Wade Barrett too, sorry. But I don't know. It should be fun. Money in the Bank, July 14th. We'll also see The Miz facing Curtis Axel for the Intercontinental title. I'm looking forward to that. Curtis Axel, I've been a fan of his lately. It doesn't help. I'm a huge fan of Mr. Perfect. He's honestly one of my favorite legends. Should be fun. The one thing that disappoints me about Money in the Bank, the Shield and the Usos. That's actually a match I'm really looking forward to. It's the kickoff show. Yes, it's still going to be a good match. And they're not going to bore us by any means. Any Shield match you watch is anything but boring. They're all great, if you ask me. I don't know. I don't like the idea of having to watch that match on WWE.com. I'd much rather watch it on the pay-per-view show itself. But it is what it is, I guess. Anyway, I just thought I'd give a rundown of WWE getting ready for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. I'm going to try to keep up with these more. No promises. I just moved into my own place recently. And things are hectic busy here. But I promise I won't let you guys down. Next time, maybe I'll even talk about TNA a little bit. But until then, thanks for tuning in. I'm John. Have a good one.